SCCA's National Championship Runoffs has long been a launching pad to professional careers for some, an annual pilgrimage for many, and a bucket list event just to compete in for all. This weekend, it is also a test extraordinaire, as for the contenders, Sonoma Raceway awaits. The infamous Bay Area marine layer fog has decided to linger just a little bit longer than it has on previous days here at the 55th running of SCCA's National Championship Runoffs at Sonoma Raceway. Our coverage presented by Mazda. It is supposed to eventually make an exit, but at this stage, early morning here on a beautiful Sunday, cool conditions, that marine layer is there, and we have a great race unfolding. The run for the gold in E-Production. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Andy Hollis, and of course we will have Hayward Wagner down in the pit lane and on the pre-grid covering things for us. But E-Production, one of those classes that dates back to early 1950s in SCCA competition. A guy named Robert Salzgeber in 1954 earned the first win in a Triumph TR2. Lots has evolved in E-Production since, Andy.
It sure has. No TR2s here today, but these are all small bore sports cars built up to race car specs, as you say, harkening back to the earliest days of the club. We're going to see here a wide variety of drivetrain layouts, though, and power plant styles just within the top four. We've got front-wheel drive. We've got rear-wheel drive. We've got piston engines. We've got rotary engines. We've got it all. And it should make for some great racing as the strengths and weaknesses of each of these vehicles plays out over this highly technical Sonoma circuit.
Absolutely. And interesting, one of the storylines that's been unfolding throughout the event here, as you take a look there at Jesse Prather, one of the interesting storylines has been there's over 106 rookies to the runoffs. Many of them, though, local drivers. As we swing west for only the second time in a lot of years, they have local track knowledge. Our top three rows for this one have a local and an out-of-towner, and it's been amazing the story that those out-of-towners have been able to come in and run. Of course, lots of runoff experience, and we're looking forward to this one being a real solid run. Kind of looks like when you look at the starting grid, the top two might have their own battle at the front here, but from third on back, it could be an outright war.
That's exactly right. On the pole, Glenn McCready, and then in second, Matt Reynolds. Those guys, only 2/10 separating them in their qualifying efforts, each of them doing it in the second qualifying session. And then it's a solid 2 seconds back to Aaron Downey and Joe Mosier. Mosier, of course, a name that those of you who have been around here have been hearing a lot for many, many years, super experienced. But again, each of these drivers in different kinds of cars. You never know when the age and experience is going to take over from the youth and exuberance up front.
That's a very good way to put it. And one thing we know, Hayward Wagner, is this class always produces surprises.
Guys, this one's always one of my favorites, and this year it's an incredibly compelling story. McCready on the front row is running the NC chassis of the MX-5. It runs a 17-inch wheel, and really his only option are the DOTR tires. Meanwhile, second on the spot, Matt Reynolds, the standard bearer in this class. He can run the true Hoosier slick, the radial slick. Both those tires have the same compound, but they're going to heat a little bit differently. The third car on the grid, that's the RX-3, and it's running the Goodyears. Now, one of the things that's unique about the RX-3, in addition to rotary power, they have to run the 13-inch wheel by the rules. So that's going to be a shorter overall tire. It's going to heat faster, and as we found out in other races, it's a tire that tends to come on strong towards the end of the race. Now, I also want to take one other look at these cars. We're going to look at Matt Reynolds' cars first. Again, standard bearer in the class. You can see the nose of that car has a nice, clean swoop up and across, and then you have that big piece of plastic across the dashboard to keep the air out of the cockpit to make that car as slippery as it can possibly be. Now, if you look at Downey's RX-3, it's a little bit different contour. The nose of that car is basically flat. Aerodynamically speaking, Downey is in the proverbial brick, and that means that when he can stay in a draft, he can really hang with these slicker cars, but when he gets out front, it's going to be very difficult for him to manage the hole in the air and keep those guys behind him.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Hayward. And the one thing that might help Aaron here a little bit is the fact there's no real long, full-out straights. You're always turning, and if he can get that car working, and if those tires come alive for him, and obviously this cool morning with those smaller tires, he's got an opportunity.
Absolutely. That's something very unique about this track versus some of the other ones that we've run recently. Indy last year and certainly Daytona in the previous year for the Runoffs. This track, no real straightaways, not much drafting. We saw it in a couple of classes like Formula V and things where those cars are super underpowered, but drafting not as big of an issue here. Always turning, and so many of these turns blind. That's where the local experience really plays out. These guys who have been there and turned many, many laps, they know exactly how the track is going to be as it evolves through a morning like this where the marine layer burns off. And as Hayward mentioned, tire heat is going to be important, and the way that fog burns off. If it suddenly gets sunny in the middle of the race, everything could change.
Absolutely. As we said, this class itself produces excitement. The evolution of the day here could add to that. We can't wait to get it started. I agree with Hayward, one of my all-time favorite classes. 20 laps of national championship competition and e-production coming up when we come back.
Some jumping jacks. Exactly. I was like.
Yeah, well, I'm getting the fog, and I'm also getting the wind that's coming up over the top of the hill.
The pace lap for E-Production is underway here at Sonoma Raceway. As we get ready to go racing, again, our coverage presented by Mazda. Thanks very much to them. And the field being led by the 1,000 horsepower Trans Am 455 Super Duty, which is the official pace car of this Runoffs. An absolute beauty of a car in its own right. And of course, guy right behind him would be your tire rack pole sitter and award winner. That's Glenn McCready and his Mazda MX-5, the TC Design Motorsports entry, and awfully quick lap, well underneath the existing track record that Bruce Ackerman set back in '09. We expect that to fall relatively soon.
I have to say that one of McCready's advantages during qualifying may have been that he qualified on a different brand and a different compound of tire, basically a qualifier tire. It was from Avon, where he's racing on the Hoosier brand because it's the only thing that's going to last him throughout that race. So some of his speed advantage to get him in front of Reynolds may in fact have been tire choice where Reynolds out there on the tire that he's actually going to race on. So this is going to be very interesting to see how this shakes out. The other part that goes with that is that the Hoosier not likely to turn on quite as quick at the beginning of the event. So we'll see how that works. Farther back, we have DOT-R tires on some of the cars, and they're going to be a little bit quicker right on the first couple of laps.
And keep your eye on a car here, the 34 of Jesse Prather, multiple champion in runoffs competition. And last year, he came from the 4th row at the start, jumped into 2nd. So he is a master of the launch, and we'll see what happens here as we're getting ready to go green. 20 laps for E-Production and the chase for the gold in a national championship. The safety car, the pace car, moves off track, and here we go, leading him to the line. Glenn McCready, he's chosen the outside, and we're green, and look at the move by Joe Mosier. He just immediately went to throttle, ducked to the inside, hoping to make something happen. Downey trying to float the outside, but it's Reynolds from that inside line. McCready may be ruining now his decision on where he wanted to start. Prather did not get the mega launch, but Downey now comes up, takes 2nd away from McCready.
No doubt that Downey's got the fastest accelerating car in the field. That RX-3 super light, makes the most power with its full preparation level that he's got on the car, but he's got to run those little skinny tires, and so he may have tire management issues throughout the race.
Yeah, that Wankel works you see on the side of that machine. And again, this cool weather might just play into his hands as they work for the first time at speed now through the carousel and onto the front straight. And you've been talking about all this tire scenario. Let's keep in mind as well, the longest they've run prior to this race is 20 minutes. If you went start to finish without ducking into the pits and tweaking on the car, you know nobody did that. So they really don't necessarily know what's going to happen with these tires. You get into the 30 minutes to the end of this race, Mark.
That's exactly right. Plus, they did not qualify in these conditions, so the ambient temperatures were different. The way the track is going to respond to that is different. So this is all new territory for them over the course of this 40 minutes.
Yeah, we just had a good look there in that orange front-wheel drive entry, the Hoosier King Motorsports Honda Prelude of Mosier. He's got some unfinished business here. He was running in 2nd in last year's race, had a mechanical issue and dropped him out. And for Matt Reynolds, same story for him. With on lap 6, he got into a little bit of a bump and go with another car, cut a tire, and it ended his shot in the championship in this class. So a couple of guys have some work cut out here. And look at Downey as Reynolds trying to make good his escape, as McCready fading just a little bit. Downey sticking with him.
No doubt about it. We thought this was going to be a 2-horse race, but these is a different 2 horses than we expected to see this happen at the front. So great to see Downey catching right up there. And as Hayward mentioned earlier, trying to get close, trying to stay in that draft. Not that the Miata makes much of a draft.
Yeah, and you could see Reynolds up and over the rise in turn 2, same thing at 3, sawing at the wheel, all those little corrections as the car gets so light, now dropping down. Downhill braking zone into 4, then as you turn in, it goes off camber. And I thought I saw a little puff of smoke, hate to say it, from that left rear corner of this car, the number 71 of Matt Reynolds, the Reynolds Brothers Hoosier JPM Miata. May have been just the body under load was down on that tire for just a little bit. But now Downey, I don't know whether Downey's faded or whether McCready has picked his pace up just a little bit, but that gap from Reynolds has dropped Downey a bit, and McCready looks a bit closer. We've got a pretty good little scrap here as well. That's Prather in the 34, and that's the 88 is Dilly, Darren Dilly from Hillsboro, Oregon, in the Cheap Fast Racing RX-7.
No doubt about it. Love to see the front-wheel drive car up there in the mix. He's going to have his tires coming up the temp a whole lot faster than the other guys do, but he will have to manage them throughout the race.
Boy, you just saw McCready as they just went out of frame all over Downey. So he has now found some speed. Here we go. Downey able to gap him just a little bit through turn 10. But McCready very quickly has closed in on the rear deck of that Mazda RX-3. See the rotation there again from Downey.
Yeah, looking like McCready set his car up to come in a little bit later. Remember, he was the one who qualified on those softer tires, and now he's on a little bit harder tire that he knows will be good for the duration. So he's playing the long game here as opposed to getting in front early.
Yeah, and he's got to be a little concerned because he's seeing Reynolds just checking out, and as he and Downey now start to go side by side, the normal nature of things, if Downey defends a little bit, is that slows you down as you run the lap when you're constantly defending, and that is exactly what Reynolds wants to see happening in his mirrors. Big lunge, late lunge, and Downey, that was gentlemanly of Downey. He left that door open just a little bit. It may also have been a little bit selfish as well, because if he'd have closed it where he was going to get hit, he'd probably spun.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Would have taken them both out. It's a long race, and we're still in the early days of it. Got to think that McCready getting those tires up the temp now, as we said earlier, he was running on those qualifiers. This is definitely going to work to his advantage, playing the long game on this. Oh, and he's making the lunge
Looks
up.
at it. Yep, turn 7. He's got the nose inside. Downey has to float out a little bit wider. McCready gets the lead, but Downey gets the run. McCready fading over to the right. That was very dissuasive. Oh, and he just absolutely forced Downey up and over the curb. And I know you like to defend, but you got to give the guy racing room. And you saw that bit of contact. McCready, a little bit aggressive there.
Yeah, definitely a little bit aggressive. And remember, as I said earlier, the RX-3, definitely the more powerful car there. He played the over-under and got on the side coming out of 7 there and was able to throttle up much quicker, but not quite enough to get a full car width in front.
Now, I think Downey might be a little wounded here. That car looked like it was skating a little bit under braking. Coming in, and now McCready suddenly slows very aggressively. He may have a problem from that contact. Yeah, he has definitely lost pace. So McCready now struggling and is dropping down. Here comes Mosier. He will pick up 3rd unless McCready can sort whatever's happening out and get through it. Here's another look at that bump. Starting here with that move in 7.
Yeah, he pulls on the inside here and then watches the RX-3, rolls power early, but starts to come out. Oh, yeah, he definitely pushed him away.
And then here.
Yep, tightened up on him, and they were side by side there. Need to leave a little bit of racing room. That's the way I see that anyway.
Exactly, and you have to think that there might just be a little damage. Looks like that right front might be towed out just a little bit. So as we said, E-Production always produces excitement. We'll have more of it when we come back to Sonoma. Battles everywhere unfolding in E-Production. Good look here at the battle for 8th, the number 7 of Cooper, the number 96 of Swifts, and right on his 6, very close quarters, is the number 42 of Philip Royal. That's the Thousand Oaks, California driver in the Racer.com and Lucas Oil Mazda. They're having a very, very good scrap here. The 96 of Cale Swifts in the out of Surrey, British Columbia. Great to have him down from north of the border in the West Coast Hot Rods Mazda RX-7, putting on a good show.
They sure are, and there is that unmistakable wail of the rotary RX-7 motor. You can recognize it anywhere, both for tone and volume, and unfortunately they are quite loud at times, and several drivers having trouble meeting the maximum sound levels earlier in the week.
Yeah, that was an issue. I like the program they had. There is that sound level, but if you had an issue, they'd show you a soundboard. You could come in, tweak on it, and then they give you in between sessions a lap to go out and see, now am I under? And of course, you had to be willing to push the throttle down all the way to make sure that the noise was there. Speaking of pushing throttle down, how about what Matt Reynolds is doing? And this is an interesting story. One, he's already raced at this event in Spec Miata, so he's got a little time around this track and race conditions. But the other thing, he has been consistently up front all the time in terms of qualifying for national championship runoffs over the years. He's got a pole. He's a front row oftentimes. No medals.
Wow, that is a great story.
Yeah. So
here's a guy that's doing everything right, yet still doesn't have the hardware to show for it. But he's doing everything right at this race here for sure. Definitely setting a new track record there at 146 so far. He's a little bit slower right now. Old track record 148.2. So that's a good second and a half there, beating that record.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a record that has stood since 2009 as well. So great job here. Still in second, the number 50 of Aaron Downey, and out of Rossmore, California, doing a nice job in that RX3. And Downey, one of those guys, he does have a few medals here certainly, but has yet to get the win in the national championships. So those 5 podiums, and he's got pressure now from Joe Mosier, who does have a gold medal, got it in 2016 in STU, the Super Touring Underclass at Mid-Ohio. So he'd like to get one here in E-Prod, and he's all over the rear deck of Downey.
Yeah, Mosier, no stranger to front-wheel drive and how to set them up. You do things completely different on cars like that. Try to get those rear tires to do something in order to aid the fronts, get a little bit of pressure off of the front tires. A lot of years in Honda CRXs, moving up to the bigger motorhome as we get a big slide out of Downey there. And I tell you, every time you slide those tires, we've been saying it like a broken record, this surface, highly polished, you start generating a little extra heat, and that's going to hurt you in the longer term.
Absolutely. We were talking about those tires in the 13-inch rims. That's what we're talking about. Not width so much. It's the rim. Tire is about as wide as others. It's just a lot shorter, so it rotates quicker, and of course that builds heat. As you talk about in Mosier, full attack mode now, and that car is the Hoosier King Motorsports entry. And we've seen over the years, if you want to have success at the runoffs in a front-wheel drive car, have King Motorsports do the prep.
Absolutely, one of the highly rated, most professional tuning firms for Hondas, especially in the country, located up there in the upper Midwest area where it's cold all winter. That's all they do is dyno motors all winter long, trying to find those secret sauce power.
And look at that, Mosier got the run, stuck it around the outside. Downey has to give him room. And I really think since that bit of contact, Downey's car not as happy as it was either. It's constantly sideways, and that generally tells you that something's been knocked a little out of alignment. That, and he's just carrying it by the scruff right now, trying to keep speed.
Yeah, it's not helping that he's on those little 13-inch tires. Just not as much rubber, not so much on the ground, but as far as rubber to dissipate the heat that you're generating. You still generate the same cornering force as the other cars, but there's not as much rubber to spread it out upon, so the tires are going to get warm, a little too quickly.
Yeah, the good news for him is at least the last couple of laps, he's been quicker than McCready, who's dropped to 4th from pole, which I think is a huge story as well. And McCready last lap running a 149.5. Everybody in front of him quicker than that. Downey at Mosier at a 148.5, second only to Reynolds.
Yeah, good stuff here. And again, good shot there of turn number 11 where we see a lot of passing happen. One of the few sort of natural passing zones on this track. Other passes tend to happen when the guy in front of you, through your pressure, makes a mistake, and we see that sort of thing later in the race.
Absolutely. I love the line that Hayward used in one of the races yesterday, talking about it. He said the best place to pass is the corner after the guy in front of you makes a mistake.
You bet. You got to be ready to pounce at any moment.
You bet. One thing I wanted to ask you about this, as you talked about, he qualified on the softer Avon, switched to the Hoosiers for this race. Is it possible, without having run the Hoosiers at all during qualifying, that they've got the pressures off just a little bit in that, and as a result, just that, not having the knowledge that suddenly, and of course, pressure affects spring rates and the like? I wonder if that's the case.
Yeah, pressure is definitely key to performance of the tire, and the other part is predicting it in these ambient temperatures. So the track itself here is probably 10, 15 degrees cooler than what they've been running other times, so that could play a factor in it as well. And that's where local track, and not just track knowledge, but local condition knowledge can be so important.
Yep, tracks react very differently to different temperatures, sunlight conditions, etc. And having that knowledge in your back pocket, that's absolutely, in many cases, golden. But for right now, it is Matt Reynolds just doing the job consistently in the mid 147s. That margin has gone up to 12.5 seconds. He is just clocking the field right now. Mosier doing everything he can to build a little bit of a gap to Downey. That's not to say there aren't some wonderful battles out on the track. That's the number 92 of Mueller battling for 11th. Good run there for John Mueller out of Santa Ana, California. And the Muellerized Marco Polo Motorsports entry. And the guy that he's trying to keep behind him is Kurt Fritzsche out of Mountain View, California, the Pacific Access Elevator Mazda RX-7.
Yeah, and Mueller is, he runs a great prep shop. There's a number of cars here with their name, that Muellerized name, on the side of them, always doing a great job there. And here he is with his own racing effort right here.
And having a solid run here. We've got battles all around the track, but up front for Matt Reynolds right now, it's a comfortable margin. Is he on his way to perhaps not only his first ever medal, but a gold in E-Production? We'll find out when we come back. Continuing his margin. Up front, the number 71 of Matt Reynolds. That beautiful silver, number 71, the Reynolds Brothers Racing and Hoosier Mazda Miata continuing to build his advantage. And takes this run, and it's so exhilarating up the hill into turn one. We've got a yellow flag, so somebody's off. We see one of the EVs on track responding to something.
Yeah, you notice a little bit of smoke coming on the left rear of his car, coming over the crest of the hill there in turn two. Not sure if that's tire smoke or perhaps lubricant coming out of a torn seal in the axle or something like that.
Right.
I'm not so sure. It might even be engine smoke. I mean, he's had some bad luck, as you mentioned earlier, in the runoffs in the past. Could that string be continuing?
Absolutely. And by the way, I need to correct something. I said he didn't have any championships. He has 2 in this class. It was Spec Miata where he has run. That was the data that I was looking at. And that just didn't sound right to me as I was saying it. See,
there's the smoke again.
Smoke again?
Yep.
And that time, it wasn't on the loaded side of the car. I hate to be bringing it up, but we have to really watch for it here.
And we are only halfway through this race, just a little under halfway, in fact, at this point. So while he's got that huge gap of about 13 seconds over Joe Mosier in the prelude, this could be some drama unfolding in front of us.
Absolutely, and obviously that information quickly, if anybody else from the other teams is aware of it, they start telling their driver, he's smoking, do not give up yet, keep the pressure on. And Mosier right now is sitting in second, but he's back by 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, looking like car number 22, Jimerson, dropped to the back of the field. We're thinking that he may have gone off, and that may be why the wreckers went out. We'll look to see if we can see him still on the track, and if not, that's what we're going to predict happened.
Look at this. I mean, I was just talking about this with Mosier sitting in second, and Downey has not lost much ground. As a matter of fact, in that last lap, that margin was trimmed to 1 second. He is staying right in this hunt right now. As they come by, we'll find out what that official margin was at the line. Reynolds has stretched it a little bit, but yeah, about a little over a second this time now as they come by. A lot of ebb and flow in this battle for second, isn't it?
Sure is. Again, Reynolds checking out at this point, but the rest of the battle's all the way down the field. And that's one of the great things about SCCA Club Racing is in a big field like this, there's always somebody to race with. So even for the guys that are coming here, not necessarily to contend for the podium or even a top 5, they've got somebody who's racing at about their pace. You can get great battles. One of the things we've heard every single driver say afterwards on the podium was about using the word fun.
Yeah.
Really had fun out there, and that's what this is. It's really fun.
Well, that's what the club's about, isn't it? Fun with cars. That's the whole story. Watching there, the number 5, or the 5th position, the 34 of Jesse Prather, as we talked about. He is a multiple gold medal winner and also is very well known for prep of Mazdas that are competing. And of course, he is a great story whenever he's behind the wheel or behind the wrench.
I grew up in SCCA going to the races with my dad as a little kid. Worked with him for a bunch of years before I went out on my own with my own company building Mazdas mainly. This will be my 17th Runoffs that I've been to. For me, the Runoffs is why I race. But now to be able to come to the Solo Nationals and try a new form of motorsports is just an incredible experience. I think what I'm finding is that you have to be so mentally focused to be fast in autocross. In road racing, obviously, we can have a couple of mistakes within a race and still do well and win. In autocross, it's so tight, you have to be so focused and precise in your driving. I think it's really going to help my focus to be more precise, especially at the Runoffs this year. So the great thing about soloing is you can bring any car that you want. You can bring the car that you drive to work every day. You can bring the car that you drive on the weekends for fun. So come on out and get involved in SCCA and get your feet wet, and I guarantee you'll probably get the bug.
Well, there's the mantra again, fun with cars. That's exactly what he's talking about. It's one of the great things about Solo. An SCCA Solo program is absolutely fantastic. There's regional level competition. There's the national Solo championship level of competition. And you can make it your home and just race solo if that's where you want to go. Or as he said, if your goal is road racing, it's an immensely great training ground. Or you come back to it and sharpen your skills just a little bit because it is all about precision.
Right, and in fact, there's even a new program that SCCA has really dipped its toe into in a strong way, the time trials program, where you take what you're learning in solo, get out to the track like you do with Track Night in America, but now you have a transponder in the car, so everybody's competing against each other for quick lap times without the wheel-to-wheel aspect. So it's another bridge step if you want to take eventually going up to wheel-to-wheel, but definitely a way of having fun with cars on track, but even in a competitive situation.
Yeah, and that Track Night in America is another great program. We'll talk more about that in a minute, but we've got a great little battle unfolding right here. We've been watching the 92 of Mueller in his Muellerized, I love that Mazda RX-7, able to just maintain that 2-3 car length margin, and it's because this battle behind him is intense. The 96 of Cale Swift's in his West Coast Hot Rods RX-7, and the number 40 of that's Kurt Fritzsche in his Pacific Access Elevator Mazda RX-7 just continue to hammer on each other. But you can see they close up on Mueller. Oh, and a late lunge by the number 40 of Fritzsche down to the inside. Realized that wasn't on and open the door back up. But that little bit of defense by the 96 of Swifts, there goes Mueller.
Exactly, and that's the way it always works. The more you dogfight amongst yourself, it slows you down because, one, you have to take a defensive line, the guy in front, which is typically not the fastest line through the turn, and likewise, the guy trying to overtake is taking a line that's suboptimal as well, and so the guys in front of them will pull away, and that also lets the guys behind them catch back up.
Suboptimal.
Suboptimal.
I like that. It works. Well, we've got this great battle continuing to unfold. Up front, it's still Reynolds over Mosier and Downey. Down to the inside comes the number 40 again. Fritzsche, does he get it done this time? or can the 96 of Cale Swift's work the outside? He does. Boy, and the number 40 got into some of that dirty track, and I think that cost him some grip. Now he dives to the inside, almost contact, and that was some great awareness by Cale Swift to realize, open the wheel up, don't turn in, you're going to get hit, and both of you might come off. Now he comes back and tries the run, but he'll be stuck on the outside into turn 7. He gets enough of a nose ahead that he moves across. Oh, and the number 40 trying, monster slide, huge save by Kurt Frietsche, but he's going to lose that spot, and also the number 7 of Cooper is going to be through. Absolutely fantastic racing. We have to take a quick break. We'll be right back with our coverage presented by Mazda. Fabulous battle for 5th continues to rage here at the 55th running of SCCA's National Championship Runoffs at Sonoma Raceway, presented by Mazda, and that is the number 34 multiple champion, the 34 of Jesse Prather, and the 88 on his 6 is Darren Dilley, and that's the Cheap Fast Racing entry. This is another case, Hillsboro, Oregon, a lot of track experience here. Prather, just a lot of runoffs and racing experience. These guys putting on a great scrap.
Yeah, and they're both in exactly the same year model car, so preparation likely to be fairly similar on both of these. But as you saw in that feature there, Prather, this is what he does for a living, is prepare these cars. So you know no stone has been left unturned in making his car as quick as possible within the rules.
Absolutely, as they come up and over 3A now down into 4. And you can tell that Prather, just a little bit of a defensive posture. He realizes he just doesn't necessarily have the speed right now to turn the mirrors down, try and drive away from Dilley. And if he wants to stay in the top 5, which we have seen late in these races, things happen. We've already seen it this weekend where a car that's 5th with a few laps to go suddenly is in the medals. So these guys are duking it out. A little bobble by Prather. Got it wrong, and around he goes. Tried to save it. Couldn't get it to stick as he dropped his tire. And again, what's the phrase you've used? This wine country sand is
great for grapes, but not for grip. Yeah, he got his right front wheel just a little too far onto those gators there.
Yep.
And drivers not using much of the curbs here as they might at other tracks because the curve is very severe. Let's watch the replay. Yep, he just loses it a little too soon, and that's how he ended up out there. He wasn't that he tracked out. He just lost the rear just a smidge as he was trying to roll power in the car. And rear-wheel drive car, if you get on it too soon, that's what's exactly going to happen every single time.
Yeah, when you hook and drop behind the curb, too, it just suddenly everything goes awry. And then you can see he tried to turn because he didn't want to end up missing the left that bends up and climbs into 7. And it just all snapped around on him. So that's going to move Dilley up into the 5th spot. And Prather now is going to have some serious work to do as we drop back to this battle here. It's the number 96 of Cale Swift. And he's working through some traffic here, coming up on the number 25. And that's a guy named Mark Weber. Weber currently running in the 15th spot in his number 25 Mazda Goodyear Redline Oil, and I'm going to throw in Mark Weber Photography. He is it's how he makes his living and funds his racing. you'll see him out and around. When he's not in a car here, he's out and around taking pictures. And that's a lot of teams and drivers love what he does. And this is an amazing stat for you. This is his 59th start in runoffs competition. He often runs 2 different classes. But talk about experience behind the wheel here. You saw it there. He got out of the way, let these guys slide through without costing any of them too much time. And Mark Webber, also one of the nice guys in the paddock.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about club racing here with SCCA. Some folks just come here for the experience. Some guys are trying to get up into the podium, and some guys are looking for the big win. And a lot of ways of experiencing the runoff, a lot of ways of experiencing club racing in general. And everybody here, though, doing it with great sportsmanship and great friendship.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a look at the blue 92 of Mueller, and he's been able now to pull out just a little bit on this battle between Swifts in the 96, right there, the black and orange machine, and Cooper in that bright yellow, and that's a Datsun. That's a 71 Datsun 240Z. I know they say Nissan nowadays, but it was a Datsun when it was new, and he's having a good run. That's definitely a car of some older vintage.
Exactly, and that's one of the great things in this class. SCCA here about 20 years ago, these drivers used to have to prepare these cars with what we called grenade motors and make them tuned to the absolute maximum. You'd have a specific motor you'd run for the runoffs, the race. You'd have a different motor for qualifying and practice days, and you'd have a couple more that you'd run during the season that you would blow up and then replace. It got to be very, very expensive, so the SCCA came up with a new concept called Limited Prep Level 2, and those motors are highly restricted in what you can do to them. They still make similar power levels because of modern technology, but they limit the modifications way more inexpensive to use, and you can use one motor for the whole season, and maybe you refresh it up for the runoffs.
Well, and just for the future of these classes, they needed to come up with something. And as soon as they created, as you said, that limited prep model, we saw the entries balloon again and allowed a lot more people to come in and race it here. And once again, Matt Reynolds, boy, he is just doing the job here. And one of the reasons might just be that car is Jesse Prather Prep.
Ah, there you go. As we saw in the feature, he's here in many ways in this race, both in person and in spirit with his hard work on that car there. Yeah, most of the cars in this field are, in fact, the limited prep cars. Unlike some of the other production classes that we've seen here this weekend, where there's kind of a mix, this one, most of the drivers choosing to go with limited prep.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of the East Coast drivers, we talked about the numbers of the locals. It's a good entry, almost 500 here. But when you move like that from coast to coast and move the runoffs around, that's one of the things, is to give drivers and teams that are on the West Coast that maybe can't always make that trip to an Eastern venue, give them the opportunity. As we said, we have over 100 drivers that have never competed in the runoffs that are local here, that are doing the job. When I say local, I say West Coast. But obviously, there are some entries that when we get back to the East Coast, say at VIR next year, you're going to see a lot of different cars that'll be there. And one that I always miss when he's not running is Sam Hulkias, who runs that absolutely gorgeous high revving machine, one of the prettiest sounding cars in the world. And, so that's one of the magic of this class of SCCA competition. The mix, the variety.
That's right. And for a lot of these drivers, this may be their one shot at the runoffs. As you say, we don't get out here very often. We certainly haven't been to this track before. Last time we were on the West Coast was in 2014 at Laguna. And so this may be their one shot to experience the event. So they're going to come out here and make the best of it.
Absolutely. And Joe Mosier sitting in second spot right now in his King Motorsports. Number 63, the Honda Prelude, having a good run here, looking at another medal. Reynolds looks to be gone unless something unfolds, and Mosier now has built a little bit of a margin back to Aaron Downey. So Mosier, with just a couple to go, looking at another medal. Matt Reynolds continuing to lead on his way to perhaps a third championship in E-Production. What a race we are having here, and glad to be able to show it to you. And again, we're able to do that through the great friends at Mazda who are presenting our coverage today. And Reynolds running that Mazda absolutely beautifully. When you have a lead the size that he has, you can just continue to just hit your marks. He's backed it down. He, been running a lot of this race in the low to mid 48s. He's running mid to high 49s right now, just being precise. And it gives you the opportunity to be patient like that, working traffic. He didn't dive bomb or anything in. He did get to the inside, make sure that the number 40 of Fricha knew he was there. But you can pick your spots a little bit, and he just picked up a white flag.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be too aggressive in this kind of a situation. In the same time, conserve the car. As we said, we've seen some of that smoke in the left rear there. Let's see if we see it again right here. Not seeing it as much now, so it may just be the fact that it was some tire rub there when he was pushing hard in those turns as you crest the hill, and perhaps it's not there now as he's not cresting the hill quite so hard. So backing off a little bit, because the thing about that tire wear is you keep rubbing, you keep rubbing, you keep rubbing, and eventually the tire will puncture.
Absolutely, and that's a very good point, because if it's something else like a fluid, when it stops smoking, that's generally indicative of a serious problem. So let's just hope that's exactly the case. Great run here by the number 7 of Larry Cooper, and that I love the name of the team, Half Bald Nissan Carbotech Hoosier Datsun, as he's gone around and picked that spot up now on the 92 of Mueller. So Cooper doing a nice job. Mueller not giving it up, and this is a battle for the 8th spot, and that's what we talked about here. Even if it's not for a podium or even a top 5, you find somebody that you're able to race with here. You get into these great scraps. You just get out of that car with a grin, even if you finished outside of a medal, because he just had a fabulous race at the run.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I've seen so many of these guys get out of the cars as they pull off the race course. Two guys jump out and hug each other and say, man, that was so much fun. And that's what it's all about here at the Runoffs.
It is indeed fun with cars, and for Matt Reynolds, it's been an awfully fun race here in E-Production. Just a couple of corners to go, one last time into turn number 11. Arcs his way through there, absolutely smooth and pristine. Gives himself a nice little margin to the wall. One more corner, and he'll have 3. And that's championships in E-Production for Matt Reynolds. What a fist pump. What a dominant performance. Last lap through, he was 20 seconds clear of the second place car of Joe Mosier, who right now is making his way through this final corner as well. And Mosier, a great run, but I'll tell you, that run by Reynolds up front, absolutely clinical.
It really was. He did everything right on there. The only thing we saw, again, untoward at all, was a little smoke out of the car. He then managed things when that started happening, ran to it. Here comes Downey to the checker right now. We did hear the car perhaps with a little bit of a miss later on, so that may be why he fell back. Not sure. We'll find out later on. But again, good to see Mosier there in the front-wheel drive car. As we mentioned in the lead-up, the Wiley veteran there.
Yep.
Tons and tons of front-wheel drive experience moving up onto the podium.
Look at this scrap. It's not done yet. The 7 of Cooper in the 8th spot. Had a little bit of a margin, but Mr. Muellerized has wound it up a little bit and is coming after him on this last lap in the 96, the black and orange Mazda of Cale Swift's. Watching these guys to see what happens here. But Cooper, every time Mueller gets to him, Cooper able to find just a little bit of speed. He just did it again. And he is floating some serious speed. Cooper is through these S's. He's just driving away from Mueller and Swift's through turn 10.
Yeah, he sure is. This is his last chance here.
Oh,
Little wide
Swift's pushing for everything.
Well, that's it. Last turn, last lap of the Runoffs. You got to go for it.
A little bit of lock up there in 11. You can see the car rotate as he went to the brakes. That sort of stalled his attack, but out of the last turn, it will be Cooper and the number 7 across the line. What a run for him. And again, the half-balled Datsun 240Z as he leads home the number 92 of Mueller and the 96 of Swift's. We will be right back. We will hear from our podium finishers and a 3-time champ.
So I got a line for. They all
Matt Reynolds into victory circle in the spot of real estate here that's incredibly valuable. It's reserved for gold, silver, and bronze medalists at the runoffs. Welcome back, everybody. Our coverage presented by Mazda. And as soon as that helmet comes off and the medal gets draped around the necks, we will hear from Matt Reynolds and what a race he put together. Kind of curious as to whether his race Inspect Miata just gave him some insights as to what to do here. As the hat is about to go on, Hayward is ready.
Matt Reynolds, your third national championship here at Sonoma Raceway. How does it feel to grab number 3?
Oh, it feels great. Car was amazing. The weather was a little cool. We made a little slight setup adjustment for it, and our Hoosier tires lasted the whole race. It was amazing. I was preserving them a little bit just in case someone had a little push at the end. But yeah, I just got to thank Hoosier Tires, Mazda Speed, Jesse Prather Motorsports for all the support on the car, Vintage Connection, Chris Campbell, Eddie Williams, Danny Byers, my wife is here, Taylor, my dad, my brother, my stepmom's here. You know, there's a lot of people here. My mom's back at home watching. Hi, Mom, love you. It's a great feeling. G-lock brakes.
Now, you got a chance to kind of get a break right there at the start. What was your strategy on the first couple of corners?
That was about it. Get in front and try and get a gap. You know, whatever happened behind me kind of played to my favor, and I just tried to stay consistent and try and build a gap.
Well, congratulations on the national championship here in E-Production.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous drive, and now he gets to grab a flag and head out on a lap of honor. Normally you'll see the car filled with whatever crew might be there as well. There's a look at the results. Mosier and Downey, pretty big gaps there between that group. Unfortunately for Glenn McCready, who had such speed in qualifying, faded a little bit from pole to fourth. But how about that battle between Darren Dilley and Jesse Prather? That was great. Cooper, Mueller, Swifts. We did have fabulous racing throughout this entire battle.
We sure did. And one note on that podium there, Reynolds, Mosier, and Downey were all DNF at the last runoffs at Indy. What redemption for all three of them here at Sonoma.
Yep, and that's why you keep coming back, is I want another crack at it. It's the national championship. And that's kind of nice. See your name up on the pylon here at Sonoma. That's some very good stuff. And there you see Matt Reynolds getting ready to make his way out on his lap of honor. Meanwhile, our third place finisher has been tracked down by one Hayward Wagner.
If you're going to be on the show, you got to be.
All right, and let's get it down now. Hayward has found our second place finisher.
Joe, probably not the step on the podium you wanted most, but a great drive to put it in second.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we're thrilled. It's a great track. It's fun. We knew from the outset we probably didn't have the right car here, but we gave it everything we got. King Motorsports has put together a great package. Hoosier worked with me all week on the tire setup. Finally got something we liked. Real thrilled for Matt. I mean, I know he's been trying for a while. The second feels good too. Really happy to be on the podium, and we think we'll have a little more for VIR next year. So we're real excited about that.
Well, congratulations on another podium here at the runoff.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks, SCCA.
Yeah, did everything he could, obviously. I just don't think anybody had an answer for Reynolds and his speed here, race distance speed in this one. But he sure gave it a go. And, of course, he did finish second, and the guy who finished third is now with Hayward.
Aaron, it looked like you were pedaling that little RX-3 about as hard as you could out there.
Oh, man, I don't think there's anything left to this car. I wore the back tires out about 9 laps in, and then with 2 laps left, I think the engine went on it, and I just gave it everything that it had because I knew that McGreedy was hot on my tail, especially with the speed that he has.
Well, congratulations to you here on the bronze.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely, and that should be his 6th podium finish, his 6th medal. So Aaron Downey's there. Hasn't been able to get that gold yet, and that's what he wanted. Here's a look at some of the highlights of the race. And again, a great start by Reynolds, and McCready kind of swallowed up and just never had the response at this point. Now, we heard them talking about, and we heard Mosier talking about the opportunity that to go to VIR. VIR is like two different tracks. You've got that long high-speed straight, and then you've got that very twisty bit that goes from the roller coaster downhill. So we're seeing some of these great moves. It's going to be fun now to see what unfolds in the first visit back to a southeastern venue since the last run at the Runoffs at Road Atlanta in '93.
Absolutely, and it is like Sonoma, a natural terrain racetrack, unlike Indy or Daytona, and that's a great thing for drivers as the track follows those contours. As you say, quite different than here. We've got true straightaways there, a couple of them. That's going to make drafting a big play for a number of classes, and some very high-speed stuff, some tighter stuff. It's going to be great to have it there.
Yeah, it is, and everybody obviously is so looking forward to getting back to that one, as we certainly are too, but it's kind of tough to beat what we've seen unfold here at this run. It has been an absolute blast. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We sure appreciate it, and we can't wait to see what unfolds in the future in e-production. A big thanks to Mazda for presenting our coverage, and that's going to wrap things up. Once again, for Andy Hollis, for Hayward Wagner, and the rest of our CBS Sports Network crew, I'm Greg Creamer. In association with the Sports Car Club of America, this has been a production of the CBS Sports Network, your 24-hour home of CBS Sports.